Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games and part 2 of my army build for the 6,000 point ASTRA Militarum army. In this video, I'll be going through the planning process and the progress so far. So you can see all the models I've built on the table behind me, and we'll go through some of the units and you can see what I've been up to over the past few days. So I started building on Sunday, it's now Wednesday, and so I've had 3 evenings to get busy and I've done quite a lot. I've managed to get a few of the tanks assembled. I haven't done the magnetising yet, so that's going to be a big job on lots of them, and I'll go through a little bit of that and some ideas I've got later on when we look at the models on the table. And we've also got a few of the main characters built as well. And so as I've been going through and building things, I've also been filming all the unboxing videos, so they'll all be up on the channel over the next few days and weeks, so you'll be able to see all the sprues, exactly what comes in the box, and just talking about how easy they are to build, any issues with building and things like that. So hopefully those videos will help you out if you're thinking about picking up a set, or if you're interested in learning, how it goes together and if there's any issues with them. So yeah, all that's to come. So before we head over to the table, I thought it'd be cool just to go through the planning process and just show you how I went from nothing to a 6,000 point army. So let's get started with that. And then once we've gone through the planning process, we can have a look at all the models and the progress so far. Right, before we start with how I planned the army, check out this awesome clip. It's the first snip of the sprue for the whole army. How cool's that? That's my boy having the honour of making the first snip. Right, now let's get on with how the army was planned. I really like using Keynote to lay out visuals for projects and things I'm working on, and so I took images of all the units I liked for a Catachan army and I put them together like this on a Keynote. And so this was going to be the army I was going to originally do. It was a lot smaller and it was all focused on Catachan. But we already had a set of Cadian shock troops, so I thought if I add another set and then maybe add a third set, we would have a Cadian army as well, and we could use the tanks for both armies. But then we'd have to put a heavy weapons team to go with them. I could move the snipers over. I had the Cadian snipers down anyway, so that would work. I could put the Psyker across from the Catachans to the Cadians, add a tank commander with the parts that come in the tank sets. But then we need a command squad, so I added a command squad there. And why not get one for the Catachans too? That's a really cool sprue. And then I thought, why not, instead of getting the Cadian shock troops, just get the start collecting set. Then we get another tank as well. Then my boy really liked Commissar Yarrick, so why not add that model to lead the army? Make some other models from the different pieces that are in all the sets. We already had a Valkyrie, but then we need some troops to jump out of it. So why not get some Tempestus Scions? And then the start collecting sets are pretty reasonable. Let's get 2 of those. That way we get 2 Tauruxes as well. We've come this far, so why not double up and have all the different options for the tanks too? So let's add the Deathstrike, another Wyvern. We could get some of the Cyclops demolition vehicles. So I took away a Chimera and replaced that with 3 of those. The Orangutan was originally going to be the Engine Seer, but I moved him across to be a Psyker because I found Ragnir Gunstein the perfect model to proxy the Engine Seer. With all these tanks, we should get some of the tank sprues, so we can add some extra perks to them. And then some cool bits from Anvil Industries will mean we can take one of these heavy weapon squads and then turn that into another 5. So we could have 6, all for Catachans using all the weapons. Then I need some bases, so Gamer Grass sent some awesome products across because I've got to do something really cool to match models like Ripper Jackson, who has this awesome base. So before you know it, I've gone from a Catachan army to 3 armies, 162 soldiers, 22 vehicles and 7 heavy weapon teams. I laid out all the different units on a spreadsheet and then worked out the points just for the units, and then worked extra points for all the weapon options that you can add on to them. And then that brought the grand total to 6,034 points. And this spreadsheet's going to be really easy now if I want to add or take away units or create lists for different armies. Then I can just go to that and it'll work it out really easily. I covered the cost of this army in part 1, so if you're interested in that, you can go and check it out. And I did a similar spreadsheet where I broke down exactly how much it would all cost. So that's how I went from a small army to a huge army, and now I have to figure out how I'm going to paint it. So I really like the style of the Cadian, and I think you do a Cadian army like this, it can look really nice with these colours, but I wanted a bit more green in there. So I found this awesome image online, and there's a few of these with different guides on how to paint models, and so I really like this pattern. So I broke down the colours, and now I'm going to match that up to the army painter paints that I've already got, and then hopefully I can do some airbrushing with those colours to get those nice camouflage patterns down. Thanks to Terry, I've got an airbrush kit ready to go, and I'll be learning how to use that really soon as well. So I've set it all up in a separate area in the room, so really looking forward to learning how to do that, and that's really going to help me work my way through this big army. So there's going to be lots of coverage of airbrushing on the channel soon. When I did my Space Wolves army, it was 3,000 points in 30 days. But with this army, I wanted to not put so much pressure on myself, and it's a lot. It's double the amount of points. There's a lot of vehicles going on and a lot more individual models as well. So I'm thinking 90 days all up, and if I can get it done sooner, then that's going to be brilliant. So that was my planning process, really just selling myself on getting all the models and then thinking of different army lists I could put together for smaller battles. So it's going to be really fun diving into the collection, building a list to take on different enemies. Now let's go and have a look at the progress I've made so far, and you can see all the models on the table. Here we are at the table, and I'm really happy with the progress made. It's been 3 evenings work to get all these built here, so a couple of the models were already done, but let's run through what I've had to build over the last few days then. So we've got the 3 Cyclops demolition vehicles there. They were already built, so they just come like that straight from Etsy. Then we've got this beast, the Basilisk, the Manticore, Deathstrike. Got 2 Hydras here. You can build one as a Wyvern as well, so I'll be able to have 2 of each if I want to. So lots of magnetising to go with all of these, and I'll get in a bit closer in a second and just show you some of the tanks and what I'm going to do with them. Then there's 2 Hellhounds, 2 Chimeras. I've built one of the Leman Russ, one of the Tauruks, the Sentinels are built. Back here, we've got some veteran guardsmen, 2 squads, which I already had. Got Rain and Russ there too, 2 of the characters. They're going to be really fun to add like a sniper element to the army. Here I've got 1 squad of Cadians that I already had, so they're all done. And then we've got the characters. We've got a Commissar, we've got Ripper Jackson, Sly Marbo, Sergeant Harker, Colonel Ironhand Strachan. And this is going to be my proxy for the Tech Priest engine here. And I did an unboxing video recently for him. And then Gaunt's Ghosts here. And then down here, I've got the dice I already had. Another pack came today. And Commissar Yarrick, he's arrived as well. So he'll be added to the collection. So quite a few tanks done here. This is a big chunk of the army put together as far as the vehicles are concerned. And with 6 vehicles left to build, with a couple of days, I should get all the vehicles assembled to this stage. At the back of the table, you can see some boxes here. So I've got the Leman Russ tracks and the tracks for all the other tanks here, and then some spare sprues with other bits. And then in here, I've bagged up all the different pieces that go with each of the different tank types, so I can magnetize all the weapons. Got all the instruction books and the tank transfer sheets. Here's the Leman Russ, and I'll just show you what I've done with this so far. So I've left all the tracks off, and they're going to be on a sprue. Here's that sprue here, and so I'm going to paint them separately. I'm thinking that's a good idea, but what do you think? Would you paint your tracks separately on the sprue, or would you just assemble the whole tank and then paint it all as one piece? I'd love to get your tips and advice, so let me know in the comments section below. But here we go. So I haven't glued all this together yet. We're still deciding how many miniatures we're going to put in there. We're going to have 1 tank commander built all the time, and then the rest I'm thinking having closed hatches, but we haven't decided yet. The same goes for the guns. This bit pops out, and I've got all the other weapon choices that you can have for the Leman Russ in here. So we can just simply take that bit out, and then we can pop this in, and you've got 2 options already. And then we've got all the other ones, but these 2 would actually go in the slot in there. So you can see they've got the 2 little pieces either side, so they would go in. So I may have to do something here where I cut this off and magnetize it, but again, we haven't decided yet, because we might just focus on maybe 2 weapons for these, so not 100%, but with the rest that go in the sides, they can just slot in. So a very tiny magnet drilled in there and drilled in there would hold it in, and it would almost stay in on its own, actually, like that. It would probably stay like that for the game, but a little knock though, and it might come out. So yeah, I'll magnetise that. So there's going to be a lot of magnetising to go on with all the different tanks, but really fun to get all the different weapons and try and build it so I get all the options for the different battles. And the same goes for all the others. So the Sentinel, I'm going to magnetise all the weapon options for this, because these are great little models. The Chimera's going to have different options here and here, so that's going to be pretty straightforward. And with the Wyvern and Hydra, we can put the extra long guns onto these parts. So I'll be doing that as well. So I'll be putting some magnets in there and then working it so that they can just go on really quickly and easily. So I've got the choice of having 2 Hydras or 2 Wyverns at the same time. The biggest surprise from what I've built so far was the Torux. This is awesome. This is mine and my boy's favourite model. We really like this. On the picture, I thought it looked a bit silly and with the tracks, but when I see it, it's real quite chunky. Reminds me a lot of that armoured van from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So it's really awesome, and the weapon choices is great. I love the Gatling gun. Again, this is going to be easy to just change, so I'll put a magnet in there. I've just glued that in place for the bolters because I think that'll work. And then this we can just take off. So if we want to go with a Torox Prime, we can just go like this, or if we want to have it with the rockets, we can put that in and then just ignore this part of it. So yeah, it's just going to give us the options during gameplay. I've also not fixed this on top because I want to paint the miniatures separately, paint the inside because I think that'd be really fun, and then we can just leave it. So we just pop that on the top when we're ready to play, because that's all pretty secure when it's on. So yeah, but really chunky vehicle. It looks great in the photos I took so far, and yeah, really like it. So that was a huge surprise. It was cool to get Commissar Yarrick in the post today, and I didn't want him at first. I didn't like the look of the model, but my son really liked it, and he's going to be in charge of the Cadian, so he wanted him as the main leader. And after reading the story where this guy took on an orc called Ugelhard and lost an arm, he killed the orc and then took the orc's power claw for himself. So it's actually a really awesome story attached to this model. So I think it's going to be really fun to have him in the army too. So this is a fine cast model, and I'll be building him tonight probably and getting him ready to go. So there's still quite a lot of work to do on these models with all the magnetising. I'll be covering that in lots of videos too as we go through the series. But overall, really happy to get to this stage. It's great to see these tanks all lined up like this. They look really awesome. And once I get the other 6 vehicles done, it'll be time to move on and get all the soldiers built too. So there we go, there's the army so far. I'm really happy with the progress that I've made. There's lots more work to do. I'm going to be doing loads tonight, and I'll be doing another video once I get a good chunk done. And so expect lots of these videos now over the next couple of months as I work my way through building, painting and learning how to play with this army. So there's going to be loads of content. It'll be awesome if you follow along with the series, and then if you're interested in building your own army, either Astra Militarum or anything from 40,000, then hopefully you'll get some tips and see what it's like to put an army together from nothing to having a fully painted army on the battlefield. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time here on Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make these daily videos possible, and if you're interested in joining the community, it'd be awesome to see you there, and I'll put a link for that in the description down below.